The gala lights were blinding. Champagne, strings, million-dollar suits, everyone pretending. I wasn't pretending anymore. My phone buzzed in my clutch. I glanced at it, expecting a logistics update. "You're fired. We want someone who actually delivers." 7 words. That's all it took to end a decade of loyalty. I didn't react. Instead, I slowly looked across the table. And there he was, Nathan Hale, my boss's oldest rival, and tonight, apparently, his executioner. He raised his glass, smiled like a man who just won the war. He had no idea what I'd already set in motion. It started years ago. I was fresh out of grad school when Grant Winters spotted me at a pitch conference, said I had edge, said he could shape me into a rainmaker. I was young, hungry, grateful. For 7 years, I built his empire while he took the credit. I fed him market data, rewrote his deals, cleaned up his messes. He called me his secret weapon behind closed doors, but only his assistant in public. I swallowed it, for a while. Then I met Nathan Hale, his rival on the East Coast. We were bidding against Hale Tech for a defense contract. Grant was sloppy, arrogant, thought legacy beat intelligence. I made sure we won the bid, but not before Nathan and I crossed paths. He was sharp, too sharp. He looked at me, not Grant, when we shook hands, like he knew I was the real threat. And that was the beginning. The first sign came last fall. Grant started locking me out of meetings I'd built decks for, whispered huddles with new advisors. His wife stopped smiling at me when we passed each other at events. Then, one night, I stayed late. His office door was open. I heard him say, "Rachel's smart, sure, but she's not indispensable. She's just been around so long it feels that way." It was quiet, offhand, like a mosquito buzz. But that was the moment I decided I won't just leave. I'll gut you. I started laying bricks, quietly. I ghost wrote 3 major deal pitches, ones that Grant barely skimmed. But this time, I didn't route the final signatures through our system. I routed them through my own shell company, just a pass-through, clean and legal. He never noticed. 3 of his biggest clients thought I was leading negotiations. I kept those email threads backed up, along with signed NDAs stating I was the lead consultant, not the firm. Then I mapped out his weak points. Grant didn't own his tech stack. He rented it through shell companies to hide assets. He offloaded HR issues with hush money, leaving a paper trail in expense reimbursements. And he falsified at least 2 sets of investor reports. I knew because I'd doctored the graphs myself on his orders. I documented everything. A month before the gala, I called Nathan. "Let's talk," I said. "You want Grant's clients? I want his crown." He didn't hesitate. Back at the gala, Nathan's smirk widened. He thought he was witnessing my humiliation, that he'd fired the bullet and I was bleeding under my gown. But I had already pulled the pin on the grenade. The envelope was delivered to the SEC that afternoon. Grant's financial discrepancies, falsified projections, cross-referenced with client contracts and whistleblower memos signed by ex-employees I'd quietly reconnected with. I didn't stop there. I blind copied 3 of our top investors with the same report, and 1 major journalist from the Financial Chronicle. Timing was everything. At exactly 11:07 p.m., just as the charity auction began, Grant's phone lit up. His smile faltered. He excused himself from the table. I followed. He was in the corridor shouting at someone on the phone. I didn't need to hear what he was saying. I'd written the headlines already. When he noticed me, he snarled, "You think this is funny?" I stepped closer, calm. "No, I think it's overdue. You're finished." "No, Grant, you're finished. Your rival didn't fire me. You just handed me to him. And guess what? I deliver." I walked back in before he could speak, left him there with his world unraveling, tie undone, teeth clenched. By sunrise, Hailtech had absorbed 3 of his biggest accounts. The Chronicle ran the story at 5:12 a.m. Winters & Co. faces SEC probe amid internal leak. He tried to spin it, blame me, but I'd already protected every move. Nothing traced back that wasn't intentional. Nathan offered me a new role, senior strategist, full control, more money than Grant ever dreamed of paying me. I took the offer, but only after I sent Grant one last message. You wanted someone who actually delivers. Turns out, I always was. Revenge doesn't need noise. It needs timing, proof, and patience. They fired me in the middle of a ballroom. I buried them by breakfast.